First ever in-season tournament. They celebrated. They raised the banner. And now they're 17-17 in 10th place in the West, the last play-in spot as we speak. Man, what a difference a year makes as we enter 2024. Keyshawn and Richard grew up in the LA area as Laker fans. So Keyshawn, please, you first. What do you think is wrong with your team?
Man, you really want me to try to answer this, Skip?
Yeah,
I don't know. 3-8 since winning the in-season tournament. 3-8. 17-17 overall record, as you said. So when I start to look at it, what has changed since winning the in-season tournament? Effort. Effort has changed because Anthony Davis is basically doing the same. He hasn't.
I agree.
We used to be able to go him.
Yeah.
Can't do that right now.
Numbers-wise, he's putting up the numbers.
He's putting up the numbers.
So is LeBron.
He's doing his deal.
Yep.
LeBron James is doing his normal deal.
Yep.
Austin Reeves is doing his normal deal to a degree.
Yeah.
So what is it, right? So now you start to try to figure things out, and you hate to start calling names because you like certain people. But is Darvin Ham really the right guy now? Is he really the right guy as we sit at a 10th spot in his second year as a coach on a team with LeBron? Because if this was any other coach with a LeBron-led team, this question would come up. We would have this conversation about, well, maybe his rotations and maybe he's not making the right adjustments and they're not listening to him, whatever the case may be.
True.
So now I'm starting to look at the coach and starting to say, well, if we get the same consistency to a degree out of our star players, then what's the problem? The problem to me is the coach. It's not registering to them. Whatever the information is that they're getting, they're not retaining that information.
Yeah.
So you start looking at that. And in the NBA, as you know, it don't take long for people to start looking at the coach and start saying, well, wait a minute, Bill. We have too much talent to be 17-17. We displayed that although it was an in-season tournament, we still won it, and we showed you we could go 7-0 in games. How come it's not the case now? That's really the only answer I have.
Fair points.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate it, Skip.
Yep.
I hate it, Key. It's frustrating because I told you, I called this before the tournament, during the tournament, after the tournament. I said, it's ridiculous what they can show when they care, because during the tournament, Darvin Ham wasn't the problem. During the tournament, when them tournament games happen, like Key said, maybe you need to put tournament game on the locker room every friggin' single game because that's when they play hard.
Yep.
But Darvin Ham was coaching the same then as he coaching now. The thing that's different is their effort, as Key said. Their effort, their approach. You see, they're lazy. They're not getting back on defense. They're offensively not effective. Guys just standing around. There's not a sense of urgency. And that's the frustrating part as a fan, is you're sitting there watching it, and you got to watch them play in the tournament. Got to watch them play this same Pelicans team in the semifinal and hold them to 89, 88 points. And then you watch them play this, and you're like, wait, did you guys just – it's like they're on autopilot.
Yep.
And it's frustrating because, of course, they're going to blame the coaches. They blame Mike Brown. They blame Luke Walton. They blame Darvin Ham now. But at some point, you got to start to say, hey, the players got to give better effort consistently. And the fact that they played these tournament games and showed, that's the crazy part. The bad part is when you show what you can do, when you show what you're capable of, when you show, hey, when we're giving 100% going all out, we can beat anybody in the world. And then you're like, is the tournament over? We got paid? Turn it off. Turn it off. They don't need to see it anymore. It's like, my goodness, what are we going to, when are they going to take it serious? When are they, when is it not going to be Darvin Ham? When is it not going to be the injuries? Yeah. Because these same guys were just playing better basketball a few weeks ago, Skip. So I can't sit there and say, hey, man, we just don't have the team to do it. Because we do, clearly.
Well, Skip, Richard say the coach. And we've seen this movie before. People are going to start to look at the coach. Because he's the easier one to part ways with, not dudes that got $200 million contracts. So they're going to start looking, just like you mentioned, Mike Brown and Luke Walton and whoever else that, hell, they looked at Frank Vogel after winning the championship, whether it's the bubble or not.
That is
they
correct.
parted ways with him. So at some point, if this continues and you're sitting in the 10th seed, eventually that 10 goes to 11. 11 goes to 12. 12 goes to 13. Then you'll be scratching your head for real.
Okay. I want to make the point about Darvin Ham, and I think you concur, Keyshawn. I like him a lot. I've gotten to know him a little. I think he's a really good guy. I think he's a good basketball coach. Is the team now responding to him? They are not lately, not since that tournament. This team does not shoot the ball very well. It's now 21st as we speak in three-point shooting, which is probably not good enough to be a championship contender. Can that change if they ever get Gabe Vincent healthy? He hasn't been healthy all year long, and I don't know why. He went ahead and had some scope on his knee. He can flat out shoot it, and he can clutch shoot it, and I thought he was going to be a valuable member of the rotation, and he's been no member of the rotation. Now, Rui is banged up, and Jared Vanderbilt's been banged up, and Cam Reddish has been banged up. They've had some injury issues, and I'm going to give them that as a legit but small excuse. Okay, now, what do we know? There are two lights at the end of the tunnel that we have seen. We saw the in-season tournament. They're gangbusters, man, on defense against Indiana that night. They destroyed them defensively because they cared. They showed up. The intensity, the urgency that we haven't seen since then was on full display in the quote-unquote championship game, a December game against Indiana. And then I got to bring up one other game that you guys have not mentioned. On December 23rd, it wasn't that far back, they went to Oklahoma City. And I don't know if you guys have been watching, but Oklahoma City has caught fire because they have grown up right before your very eyes. They have won 8 of their last 9. They had the Celtics down 18 with 9 minutes left last night, and it got a little dicey. But they were clearly the better team, albeit in Oklahoma City. 8 out of 9. Guess what? They lost 1 game at home to the Lakers. So I went back and checked that box score, and the Lakers had lost 4 straight coming into this game, but all of a sudden LeBron goes for 40. Why did he go for 40? He made all 5 of his three-point shots. Well, how many nights are you going to get 5 out of 5 from LeBron from 3? Not many. And Anthony was 26 and 11 with 7 assists. So how many games do you get him?
I think that was the night that night he came back off injury, right?
Yes,
he had rested up or whatever.
He did. Rui that night was healthy and gave you 21 out on 8 of 14 shots. And they made 16 of 32 threes. That's 50% on the road. That's going to give you a chance to win a lot of road games, even at Oklahoma City, against the suddenly maturing right before your very eyes Thunder. The same Thunder team that proceeded to beat Minnesota, the best team in the West record-wise, by 23 at home. The same Thunder team that went to Denver a couple of nights after that and won by 26 at Denver. They are rolling people, and they got rolled by the Lakers at home. So my point is, are those lights at the end of the tunnel? Or are they indictments of what this team should be with Darvin Ham as the head coach? That's the big question. I'm not going to give up on this team. I'm not going to write it off because we've seen all this happen. They have to flip another switch.
Yeah, but you can't keep going to the well, though, Skip, over and over and over. We've seen this happen before.
Yep.
We saw it last year.
Yep.
They made some mid-season trade acquisitions and kind of found themselves in the Western Conference Final. But you can't live like that every single year.
Yeah.
You mentioned OKC. Memphis is getting better. I mean, like, you start just looking.
Hey.
You start looking, Skip, at the conference. Okay? And the team that's here with us in L.A.
Are they?
The Clippers. So you start looking at the conference and you're saying to yourself, you're sitting in the 10th seed. Like I said, you'll look up and be in the 13th seed in a minute. And find yourself way behind everybody.
Yep, good point.
But again, I just don't get it because guys put on Laker jerseys and they change who they are. They all of a sudden can't shoot. They all of a sudden don't play defense. They all of a sudden are injured a lot of times. And again, we win the title with Frank Vogel and what he did with this team and how well he had him playing defensively. And then we give up on him. And now we're saying Darvin Ham and give up on him. At the end of the day, I don't know if it matters who's in the seat, if I'm being honest. Because, I mean, since Phil Jackson, we've gone through a gauntlet of coaches. We've gone through a ton of coaches. And the consistent theme is effort. It doesn't matter who's in the seat. The consistent theme that you're seeing is a lack of effort, a lack of effort, lack of effort. And you look up on defense and you're like, hey, some games we got it, some games we don't. And in the tournament games, again, I hate to belabor the point, but there was so much effort. And that's frustrating. I almost wish they lost those games. I almost wish they lost the tournament. Yeah. Because then at least I wouldn't have had to see it. I wouldn't have had to see what it could look like. I wouldn't have had to see what it could be like when they play hard and they care. Because all that's telling me is on a week in, week out, night in, night out basis, not a lot of people are caring. And I'm not talking about LeBron. I'm not talking about AD because they seem to care every night. But everybody else seemed to be mailing it in at times and just waiting for LeBron and AD to save the day.
Well, you talk about effort, Skip, and you mentioned it, listening to or responding to the head coach. The head coach gets you to put out a maximum effort.
He does.
Okay, that's just what head coaches do.
Yep.
They get you to respond to their teaching, and what they're teaching you, you take to the court.
Yep.
You retain that information, and then you go and you deliver it to your opponent. That's something that the Lakers have not been able to do here recently. Why that is, I have no idea. I'm not saying Darvin Ham should be fired. I'm just saying you got to take a look at the way they respond to him. Now, maybe there's a Zach LaVine hangover going on somewhere. I don't know. Maybe that's the case. Maybe all of a sudden that name keeps surfacing and players are being, you remember that when the AD situation first came up, when all those guys was getting traded, remember that? They're going to trade him and then they're not going to trade him. And the players that was there at the time, they were sitting around like, man, we can't play this way.
Remember B.I., Brandon?
B.I.
He was on the free throw line at Indiana, and they were chanting, LeBron wants to trade you.
Yes. Yes. And so you don't know how that sort of information seeps into the minds of these players. Am I going to be on the block?
Maybe.
Are they going to move me? I just got here. You don't know.
All right, and there's a long-held theory that visiting teams don't play well in Los Angeles because there are too many distractions in Los Angeles. Does that also apply to players who come to the Lakers permanently to be Lakers? Are there too many distractions in Los Angeles?
No question.
Okay.
I don't buy into that. But
well, you guys grew up here.
No, I don't buy into it. I don't buy into too many distractions. I don't buy into that at all.
Because are you saying you can find distractions anywhere?
I was literally about to say that, Skip. You can find distractions everywhere. The National Football League figured the gambling thing out. They, for many years, you can't have a Super Bowl in Vegas. Can't do this in Vegas. Because they got gambling and they got adult clubs. Well, they got adult clubs in New York. They got adult clubs in Tampa. They got gambling in Tampa. And eventually the league figured it out. Yep. Well, guess what? The parties, the clubs, the restaurants, and everything is in every major city that there's a sports franchise. It's nothing new. That's why I don't buy into they're in LA, so all of a sudden they can't play because they're doing too much in LA. I don't buy into that.
I don't know. You get off that plane and you smell that.
I don't buy into that.
Smell that.
You can get off the plane and do the same things in Miami, New York, Chicago, Seattle. You can do all those same things in Dallas. The same exact things.
Dallas.
Well, clearly, the Clippers are showing you can come to LA and win and shoot and make 3-pointers. You just can't do it in the Lakers uniform, apparently, over the last decade.
There you go,
can't
Richard.
find anybody to shoot the basketball.
All right. Okay, real quick, I got to get both your thoughts on the shot that LeBron almost hit the other night to tie the game. We didn't get to talk about this. I think it was Saturday night. If we'd see LeBron with his three to tie. I don't think it was. It got ruled not, but he goes up to tie.
That's a three. Skip, how is it not?
Minnesota, because as he gets his foot behind the line first, but as he rises to shoot,
the ball
he turns sideways. He turned his foot sideways to push up and off.
He's not. He's behind the line.
He stepped down.
No,
he stepped down. It's on the line.
Dog,
he stepped down on the line.
That's clear shot.
Stepped down on the line.
That's a clear
shot. They reviewed it and said,
"Oh, them dudes, man, they ain't gonna change their mind."
They're just anti-LeBron. Is that what you're saying?
Especially him.
Yeah. Especially who?
The ref. What's his face? Tony.
Yeah.
I think it's Tony. Yeah.
He's trying to explain.
Is that Brothers?
Yeah, Tony Brothers.
Yeah, that's Tony Brothers, I think.
All right. Okay, so that would have tied it, but LeBron still had a chance to redeem himself because with 1.4 seconds left, well, he did.
Here we go.
You saw what happened with 1.4 left. Just LeBron, just drive it or go up and shoot it. Yeah, you got to do something. Except he steps through and then he's
He
late.
stepped through and tried to bank it off the board.
Yeah, he actually shot an air ball. Because
He tried to bank it off the board,
Okay,
man.
All right, way to go, LeBron. Well, go up strong and get fouled and have the guts
He
to go
just
shoot
tried
the
to
two free
do
throws.
that.
Go shoot the free throws to tie. You got to make 2 to tie.
So he just missed it because he didn't want to go to the free throw line?
I don't know. It sure looked strange to me.
Yeah.
LeBron James has the highest
You was
IQ
doing
in
so-
basketball.
you were doing
I was
so
doing
good.
so good.
You
I
were
know.
doing good.
Well, I had to get that in because we